Welcome. Today we'll recreate this clean barcode style sales chart using mark layers. It looks like a complex dashboard, but as I unhide the objects, you'll see it's powered by just a single worksheet. Now that you've seen the finished results, let's recreate this chart together. Let's bring point IDs on here. We only want to use the first 25. You want to see the impact of that? You can see that we indeed got that. We're also going to just focus on the first region to get this started. We can add the others after we get finished and get the one instance of it stood up. We're going to begin by collecting bars. So our bars make point on our first marks card. We'll have it change the mark type to Gantt bar. You see one tiny bar right there right now. We can bring the points onto here. We get the 25. We'll have the marks to color on our color marks card. You can see a few that are red now. We'll bring region onto the marks card and the detail as well. And then we're going to use the average of 1. That will help us with the structure here in a moment. We're going to bring the size. Next, we'll bring on the sales label. We'll change the mark type to a circle. We're going to bring on detail on here for us to have a good label. We're keeping the region on the detail. And then we'll put the sales values onto label. And I'm going to use all sales onto the tooltip. And you can see that I have the number down there. I need to change the format for this. So I'm going to, rather than changing it through here, you can change it through here. Alternatively, I'm going to go here and make my choices here. Full face, I'll go ahead and make this medium. And that will be great. I need to affect the alignment to go under and to the left. There we go. I will leave that for now, but I also want to get, that's good for the formatting. I want to change the way this number is being presented. So currency custom, 1 decimal place, thousands, and then we'll have it more like a KPI. All right, so we're ready to move on. The next one is going to be our region label. Here's the calculation for the region. Bring it to the marks layer. We're going to layer it up with the correct things for it to be showing. Region on there, region on detail. Move it around a little bit and format it, and also change it into being a circle. All right, now we can work on the label format. And that's going to be our pattern each time when we have a label. Next, we'll put the 0 label that will be at the top of the box, the bar. And at this point, I could go ahead and release the map background. So you need to have 2 marks cards, and then you can release it. And that way we can go ahead and see our bars. And this is great. We're off to a good start here. All right, so bring on the 0 label on another marks layer. We're going to make it into a dot so we can work give it a label and work around it. So we're going to make region sit on the detailed shelf, and then I'm going to type into this a literal value for 0%. Put that onto the label, and then go ahead and work on the label. I like the size is fine. The alignment is not my deal. I want it to be above and to the right. So right there. So let's match the mark color. That gray is good. Maybe that just to help it stand up. Okay, great. And close it up. Make the opacity go to 0. And I've just got my 0 up there for 0%. Next, we're going to bring on 100%. Much the same. We'll change the mark to a circle. Bring region onto detail. Type 100% into the open space and make a literal value here. Put that on the label. Work on the presentation of the label. Mark color, 100%. Come out to alignment. Have it be to the left and above the dot. And going to color, reducing the opacity to none. And then I have my bounding boxes. So I have a 0% and 100%. Now I need to put the actuals on. So my actual point is tucked away in this particular calculation. And you can see it's using percent of total sales to determine the length of or the placement of that number. Bring that onto the mark layers. Change it to being a dot or a circle that we can work with. Then I'm going to put the corresponding values on it to give us our titles. So percent of total sales. Make sure region is sitting on the detail. All right. Work on the formatting. Actually, this one should be bright. Good. And alignment, we need to sit above it and to the left over the filled bars. Okay. And then we'll take the dot to transparent. There we go. Now we got some cleanup to do before we move on to the next piece. And one of the things we're going to do is to increase the size of the axis. So we have just a little bit more breathing room around everything. So edit the axis and we'll say that we're going to have a custom size. And we'll go ahead and go from -1 to +2. And that'll give us just a little bit more framing around each of the bars. You'll see how that's responded in the background. That'll be good. That'll help make room for all four when we get them on together. Before we start doing cleanup, we have a specialty calculation to help us with the line out alignment and indexing on the page. It is a table calculation. I'll show you the calculation here. We got 1 in rows and 1 in columns. And that would require a deeper dive for another day. So we're going to just use it and we're going to tell it to compute using region. And same thing for columns. Compute using region. All right, now as we hover over the bars, you can see that we have a few extra things in our tooltips, so we'll clean that up quickly. And the things we don't want to have added in to tooltip, we'll just go through and make sure that that is not involved. So like include in tooltip, turn that off. Make sure that's not going to be included in tooltip. That's okay. We've already got that in lots of places. The 0 label, I don't need in tooltip. And I need to not turn that off because if I turned it off one place, it's being turned off other places. So we'll go back to this now. Region, what else we have here? The point ID and the average. So let's do point ID here. Not including tooltip. Take the average off and see if this one is being fed into that. Sure, let's do that. Let's tell them to please not include these. Okay. Now our tooltip makes sense. Okay. Probably need to see if our sales labels could be included. Including tooltip there, and this could be included in tooltip there. Great. Okay. I'm first going to turn on the other regions before I finish my cleanup duties. 4. Okay, now I have some accesses to dismiss, so I can uncheck show header here and here. Show header here, show header here, and then I have lines that need to be removed. So from this, I will say no grid lines, no 0 lines, and then from this window, I don't want any row dividers or column dividers. That cleans it up nicely. Good. I think now I'm just down to a title.